Well, good evening, everyone. I am Kevin Weber, and I am the principal at Bedford High School. We are recording this, and so this is going to be more of like a webinar. I'm going to go over some stuff. Hopefully today, actually starting Friday, you probably got the scheduling hub. We shared that with parents via email. It's also posted on our website, but that is going to be a giant resource for you. Very excited about that. I'm going to go over some stuff this evening, some general information, but actually pretty much every single thing that we've ever gone over is all covered in that hub. And so there's a great opportunity to learn more about specific courses, as well as some of our unique programs that we have at the high school. All right, so our agenda for the evening is going to kind of go over what our goal tonight is, to kind of start talking about the 8th grade to 9th grade transition. We'll touch base on the graduation requirements. We'll talk about enrichment opportunities, some other important information, and then questions. If you take your phone out right now, you can scan this QR code and you can submit questions to me and I can see those. And I'll have this up a couple of different times. All right, so the purpose of tonight is going to give you some information so you can start planning your students' coursework. High school should be thought of as a 4-year plan. And so we kind of want to start planning for post-secondary. So we want to keep that in mind. We also know that students are going to change their mind, and that's more than okay. We don't expect students to know right now in 8th grade what they want to do after high school, but we do want students to be thinking about those things as they plan their course for their 9th grade, because of course, the courses you take in 9th grade will be really essential in helping you have more opportunities when you're a sophomore, junior, and senior. We also want to highlight some key dates and timelines just for you for this year. This has definitely been a unique year for pretty much everyone with anything to do with any part of the world. But so we're starting to talk about 2021 and 2022. And so we want to make sure that's, what kind of dates there are as far as for picking classes. This is kind of about the time of year we always pick our classes with our students because there's just so much work to do with it. And then just make sure you know where resources are. All right, so the course cards, all that information was given out on Friday, and then Monday we had our counseling staff visited the junior high school. And when they visited, they went over just some more information, kind of got the students familiar with the scheduling hub, and then gave them a course request card, which is meant to be like a rough draft. It's just a place for you to sketch out the information, plan the courses, write down course numbers and things like that. That way, when you go into the digital course request, you can do that a lot easier because you have it already kind of framed out. And those digital course requests are due on the 19th. Sports, that's not the focus of tonight. Coaches will be visiting middle schools and students should be listening for those announcements as far as when fall sports and things like that especially get started. They'll be hearing that about that as we get closer to the spring. And then also kind of helping with the transition, we will have registration in the fall. So in the last week of August, keep your calendars open. And then we'll have an orientation. The same day we hand out our freshman schedules, we try to make sure we have an orientation for our 9th graders to go over some more basic stuff about school, whatever school looks like next year. And so, but then we also open up the building so students get a chance to walk their schedule as 9th graders beforehand. And then we'll have open house as well. So our goal is kind of to have a layered approach. You see that mountain bike up there. For some people that looks like a blast, and for some people that looks frightening. And we know that's kind of the same thing for some of our 8th graders and 8th grade families as they think about high school. I already mentioned this, the scheduling hub that was shared with families on Friday. Check your email for it. It's also posted on our website. It has just a ton of information for families. So kind of the steps that we follow here. Think about your courses and classes. So use the scheduling hub. Watch look at the course description guide. Start thinking about what classes you may want to take. Then check out all those resources, all the videos, the course description guide. Then the third step would be to make an outline. Sit down with your student and parents and map out the courses that you want to take, not just this year, but also think sophomore, junior, senior year, and then begin to kind of plan that part. If you have any specific questions about something that's really unique to your student, reach out to our counseling office, and they'll connect you to your future counselor, and they'll answer those specific questions for you. And then complete that digital course request card. And that's located in the scheduling hub. There's a big old yellow section on there. It says an arrow pointed to it, and you'll see the rising 8th graders, future 9th graders, their course card. And that's customized just for 9th graders with some 9th grade courses already kind of set up in there. It does have a lot of information in it. It's going to ask you a lot of questions. So that's why we want you to kind of sketch it out before you sit down to do that Google form, because otherwise it'll seem kind of overwhelming. All right, requirements for graduation. As a high school, we require 22 credits for graduation. Every year, students take 6 credits, 3 credits each semester. Each semester course is a half a credit for an hour. And so they earn 1 credit in the course of a year. So for 6 total credits in a year, 3 each semester. So students actually have the opportunity to earn 24 credits during their high school career. They also have, many of them have earned some credits in middle school. Algebra, your science 8th class, as well as any Spanish classes that you've taken. Those are high school credit earning classes. And so you're required to take 4 years of English, 4 years of math, and they need 1 full credit in Algebra 1, 1 full credit in geometry, and then 1 credit in Algebra 2, and then 1 additional math or math related course. And then every student as part of their program must complete a math course their senior year. In science, there are 3 required credits. Most freshmen take physical science their freshman year. Your biology credit. Many of you have earned 1 credit, possibly by the end of this year. You'll have earned your earth science credit from 8th grade, and then just an additional science class if you didn't fulfill that, or you just may want to take an additional science class, such as chemistry, physics, anatomy, and physiology. And then there are 3 credits in our social studies department, 1 credit of US history, 1 full credit of world history, and then a half credit of civics and half credit of econ. Typically, US history is taken in 10th grade, world history is taken in 11th, and then seniors take civics and econ. And then for all of our students, there's also a 2 credit requirement for world language. Now, starting in 2015, students were able to substitute 1 credit for taking either an additional VPAA credit, so these are visual, performing, and applied arts credits, or a CTE class. All students do have to take 1 credit of VPAA, but if you take a second one, you can waive the second year. Or you could take a CTE program. We also have a half a credit requirement in health and a half a credit requirement in physical education. This is something that most of our 9th graders take care of. They take the health and physical education. Students may waive their physical education requirement by taking 3 years of marching band or participating in 2 varsity or 2 Bedford athletic programs at any level. There are some opportunities. Hold 1 second. Somehow someone's accessing my screen. All right, sorry about that. Fun with Zoom. All right, so there's a lot of different varieties for our students who excel in school to take advantage of some different things. There is an honors curriculum. Most of our core classes that students take, they can either take an honors class or an advanced placement class. And then there is also an opportunity for students to take dual enrollment. So honors classes replace regular graduation classes, and they're a bit more rigorous and more coursework. Some of them have summer work as well. Students who take honors classes earn an additional honors point in their GPA calculations. Advanced placement, a lot of people just call this AP, which is actually a proprietary piece, but those are classes that are part of the College Board. And this is a national curriculum. Students take these because it's a really great opportunity for students to take some of the most rigorous classes that are offered in high schools across the nation. Students also have the ability to take a test at the end of the course that awards potential college credit. The reason I say potential college credit, because it really varies the score by each institution. And so AP tests offer a 5-point scale. And if students earn a 5, a 4, or a 3, generally speaking, they'll be awarded credit at a university, but it does vary. I always tell students, if you really plan on taking advantage of that full piece, to make sure that they're in contact with their university. A lot of them have what is required from each class on the AP exam in order to get college credit for that. And then dual enrollment. Students are eligible while in high school if they have a qualifying score on either the PSAT or the SAT to take high school and college credit classes at the same time. And so essentially, they sign up for this. Many of our students take it at Monroe County Community College, but also we have a new partnership this year with Lourdes University. And those are pretty much fully paid for by the school district if you take those 2 classes. However, students do have the opportunity to take them at places like Toledo. However, the percentage that we pay usually doesn't fully meet that. But essentially, a student could take, instead of taking an elective class, students might be able to take a college class as one of their electives. They have to have transportation to get there. It's something that many of our juniors and seniors do when they're of the driving age. But as I said, I'll talk a little bit more later on. We have a Lourdes partnership where this will actually be an opportunity for many of our students to take during their high school day at the Bedford campus. But this is a great opportunity for students looking to get a head start on the college credits. It's also a great thing to know about as a parent because we're paying for the class for you. And so that should save you some money. Again, here is a little graphic. If you want to scan that, you can ask any questions and I can see those on a little side screen here and I'll be happy to answer those for you. So one important thing about honors classes and AP classes, if you've signed up for them, you cannot drop them. It's very important. Always caution parents, we're talking about 8th grade here, students going into 9th grade. If your student's done really well, sometimes parents and students are really excited and really want to push themselves, which is great. However, taking 4 AP classes or 4 honors classes might be a bit overwhelming. And so I really encourage families to take kind of a pragmatic approach to it, really talk to your student and maybe start slow. You go to the course, your student best. If they're eligible to take those, we don't, prevent them from taking that. It just would always caution families from taking too many courses. Dual enrollment, talked about a little bit, but you must have a qualifying test score. Often have to be able to commute there unless you're taking one of the Lourdes classes that is on our campus. And then it's very important for parents to know if they take dual enrollment, if the student earns a D or fails, you have to actually pay for that course back. And so this sometimes happens because it's an elective class, this thing called senioritis, which I've never found to be a real diagnosis, but sometimes seniors believe it to be the case. And so they just kind of blow off that class and that results in the parent having to pay for that class. And so I'm going to pause real quick here, got a couple of questions. Had a question about waiving gym class. Yes, so if a student is in a sport, even if it's 2 different sports, they can waive their PE credit. So it does not have to be the same sport. Had a question, that's great. It says, what is a CTE program? CTE stands for Career Technical Education. So those are our classes that are usually heavily aligned to helping students transition into the trades. And so on our scheduling hub, you'll see a whole host of videos that kind of highlight those. I mean, I can tell you that we have one about auto, and we have one for TV and radio broadcasting, and we have one for construction and welding. But those videos would really be the greatest way to like click on that and get a good overview of what that classroom looks like and what that class might look like. If there's a question about the minimum GPA for students to be in honors classes, yes. If you click on the course description guide in our hub, you will see what is required as far as GPA. And it's also on the application. When you're filling that out, it'll ask you some of those things. But again, that course description guide has all that laid out for you. All right, I'll come back. I know there's some other questions out there, but I will hop back to those in a minute here. We also have a great performing arts program. Many of our students I know participate in band. CTE, which is what we're talking about here. Those are the trades, businesses, and family consumer science classes. And then electives, a lot of our core classes, like our math classes, our social studies, science, English, all have elective opportunities for students. And those are all in the course description guide. Many of the departments included those in their videos, which will kind of describe those classes to you a lot more in detail. All right. Some important information. It is very, very important that when you fill out your course request change cords, you're very, which is due on the 19th, that you've put a lot of thought into that. Because if you get a class that you requested, it is very, very unlikely you'll be able to switch out. Essentially everything, the reason we start this so early is because everything that we offer is driven by what our students ask for. So what I mean by that is I don't just predetermine, okay, we're gonna run 4 art classes, and then I put kids in art class whether they wanna be there or not. All of our courses and all of the classes we run are based on what our students requested. If enough students request it, then that's what we offer. And so literally the students in the high school, that's about staffing for the school district is between 80 and 90% of the district's budget, with the high school being the lion's share of that. And so our students picking their classes as you sit down with them, it's a really, really important thing to think about and consider, because if you do get that class, if you change your mind in the fall, you're not going to be able to change that class. The scheduling hub, really take advantage of that. We didn't know what school would look like this whole year. And so when we started talking about what scheduling looked like, we planned to have a fully virtual school, and to make sure we could get that information out to families. But it's really great because now all of that information is there. Never as a student or as a parent have you been able to get as much information as we have provided now. It's not just a course catalog, which describes things, right? That's a big, thick document with lots of, description of classes, but the videos will really let you see a lot of the different aspects of what's going on in the school. We talk a lot about some of the extra opportunities for students, but we also know that sometimes students need some support. And so during our school day, when things are normal, and I don't know when that will be, but we typically have homeroom and advisory. All of our students have either a 4th hour class, and then they have 5th hour homeroom and advisory, or the other way around. They have a 4th hour homeroom and lunch, and then a 5th hour class. So during their homeroom time, as well as their lunch, we have a math teacher and an English teacher, as well as students who are available to provide support. And so, they use that throughout the day. So for example, when things are normal, if a student doesn't do well on an algebra quiz, they might be told to go to math lab to get some extra help and then redo that quiz. And so students should really be taking advantage of our labs. We have after school tutoring. We've had that even going on right now. And we would have that going on in the fall as well, where students can stay after school. A lot of our athletes use this as a requirement sometimes, but it is open to all students. These just got started a little while ago, foundation courses. So we have this both their 9th grade year and 10th grade year. So we have foundations math classes, which is essentially giving a student 2 math classes. It's required for our students to take algebra, and it's required for our students to take geometry. However, we also know that sometimes students really struggle. And that's not to blame any student. Nationally, 38% of students are proficient in math. And so if you're a parent and you're thinking about math, kids nowadays too are significantly outperforming than math when I was in school. Proportionally, a student who was in the 90th percentile now would be in the 60th percentile. And so students can easily fall behind in math a little bit just because of a variety of reasons. And so the math foundations class is essentially replace an elective for a student, but it provides support for them in their algebra or their geometry class. But it also uses a unique program and it personalizes a curriculum to kind of fill in all the gaps. And so this is one of the things that if I was I'm a parent of a student, and I always ask myself when I'm hiring a person, would I let this person be in front of my child? And when we talk about things, classes in a school, it's the same thing. What would I want for my child? And if my child was struggling entering high school with math, and I don't mean struggling as in getting E's and or F's and D's, which that would be struggling too, but maybe your student's that student who does everything. They work really, really hard. They do all their homework and they just never seem to test well. That usually, especially in math, is a sign that they have some gaps in their learning. And if that was my child, knowing everything I know about school and learning and math success for kids, having them double up on math when they're young is absolutely a powerful opportunity for them. And so if that's your student, even like I always describe it as the 8th grade student getting the B minuses in math, sometimes that is a student who is really in need of some extra help. We want our kids all to have lots of opportunities after high school. And so if that's something to consider, definitely put that in your course request. As I said, if that's what I would do with my own child if they were struggling in math at all. Especially because after Algebra 1, they're gonna have to take Algebra 2 their junior year. So it's not gonna get easier. Special education, if your student receives special education services, request all your courses like you normally would. Your case manager and your special ed staff in the 8th grade will be reviewing everything and making recommendations that the counselor will then input. And so as you guys have your IEPs before next year, that'll all be like shared as far as what classes and support classes that they need to be in for special education students. And then virtual BVA. This is never has it been so popular, but it's also something if you're really uneasy, maybe you're one of the parents who are gone tonight and you're virtual right now. I don't know what the fall is going to look like, but you could already know that you want to do the BVA. And the BVA uses an Ingenuity platform and students can provide that. So some of you might be already accessing that in your middle school, but we've had students in the high school for several years already use that. And so that's a great opportunity. And it's not just for students who struggle. If you're a student, we have some students who have just really, really unique schedules. If you're a golfer and your student is traveling across the country because they're a nationally skilled golfer, it's really hard to be in school every day, really hard to be successful. And so the virtual academy can kind of fill in those gaps if you have a student who, for one reason or another, just being in school every day is not an option for them. And so some of our students who travel for sports, that's a really popular option for. All right. Have a few questions here. Sports, if sports get canceled. Well, the good news is I highly doubt we'll have, the question is about what will happen if sports get canceled as far as the waiver. You have all 4 years to do that. And with our seniors, there was one student who was signed up for a sport that impacted. And then we could make an adjustment there. So I wouldn't worry about that because I would really hope that we're not talking about COVID and canceling sports for the next 4 years. How will we know if the 8th grade science class fulfill the requirements? All of your 8th grade science classes meet the high school requirements. That is how the curriculum is designed here at Bedford Public Schools. And so if you took 8th grade science in Bedford Junior High School, then you're all set. Again, I just want to make sure everyone hops on that hub. Like I said, it is just a tremendous amount of resources for you. And then any other questions, please grab that QR code and pop them up. I'm going to stop recording and answer those questions.